Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. Today, Savio Rodrigues joins me and we discuss the recent statement of Sri Mohan excuse me. We discuss the recent statement of Sri Mohan Bhagwat on supremacy of a religion and also his support for LGBTQ. The way I understand LGBTQ, and correct me if I'm wrong, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer, I think. And Savio can set me right if I've made a mistake. Savio, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel.
Pleasure to be on your show again, Sri.
Savio, the statement that RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat ji made about, no religion can claim supremacy. There are 3 or 4 different ways in which this has been interpreted. Some have said that this applies to all religions, and some said that it applies to only one religion. Now, you are a Catholic, and how did you see it? And then we can take it from there and expand on this a little bit.
Well, Sri, the most important aspect of the belief system that I come from, even though I come from the Catholic faith, is that religion does not define my nationalism.
Yes.
So my nationalism is something that is defined by my acts and for the country or my acts against the country. So religion, firstly, has got nothing to do with nationalism. And what I truly appreciate with what the RSS chief, Mr. Mohan Bhagwat, has said, is to put religion, caste into a bracket of not defining whether this person or an individual has got anything to do with nationalism. Therefore, when you have religious supremacy, whether it is Islam, whether it's Christianity, whether it's Hinduism, whether it's Buddhist, in certain areas, not only in India but around the world, we have seen that religion and religious leaders and institution try to play the game of religious supremacy that basically works to control people, a mass audience of people, and also at times the nations as well. That's why you have the concept of a Christian nation, you have a concept of an Islamic nation, right? And that is why you have certain sections of the people within India also, mooting the idea of a Hindu Rashtra. So when religion becomes the predominant mood point or discussion point of definition of nationalism, then it's a very skewed point, and it's something that basically is dividing rather than uniting. And nationalists or people of a particular country or citizens of a country have to come together under one flag, and they cannot be divided based on religion, or their nationalism cannot be defined by their religion. So I think it's a very, very important statement made by the RSS chief. I think it's also a very timely statement. Yes, there have been many interpretations taken about the statement. It's a lot of people within the opposition looked at targeting Mr. Mohan Bhagwat, saying that this is against Islam or against the Muslims in India. Let's get one thing very clear and very precise. Okay, we all have our roots within the cultural aspects of India. When I mean cultural aspects, I'm talking about our Indic roots, I'm talking about our Hindu roots. So today I am a Christian of a Christian faith in front of you. But let's not deny that my roots many, many years ago would have been Hindu as well, or the Sanatan Dharma roots, because the true definition of Hinduism as a religion came much later. The practice continued in Sanatan Dharma faith. So we are connected culturally to India, to Hindustan, to Bharat, whatever name you give to it. So you cannot at any point of time think that you are devoid of your cultural roots. So if your cultural roots are Hindu, if your cultural roots are Indic, if your cultural roots are Vedic in nature, then that's your root. Your religious faith has got nothing to do with your cultural roots. So today, when Mr. Mohan Bhagwat says that talks about Hindustan, talks about us being all a part of Hindus, I don't think he's making a religious statement. What I think he's attributing it is to the cultural aspects of what we are. And that is the truth. This is Hindustan, this is Bharat. So we are Bharatvasis, we are Hindustanis, we are Indians. That's how the Western world looks at us, as Indians. But we are Bharat, we are Hindustan as well. So today, we have to rise up above religion. We have to rise up above caste and say, hey, Savio Rodrigues may not be Sham, but Savio Rodrigues is a man of Christian faith who is a patriot, who is a nationalist. Sham might be a gentleman of Hindu faith, but he might not be a nationalist. He might not be a patriot. He would work against the interest of the country. So it's important what the RSS chief is trying to do, in keeping in line with what RSS has propagated over the years, is nationalism. And nationalism has got nothing to do with anybody's religion. It's got to do with your commitment to the country. It's your acts and your actions and your ill actions against the country. And that's really what nationalism is all about. So I think it's a very timely statement. It's a statement meant to unify rather than to divide.
And you've worked in Middle East, and maybe a few decades back, or I don't know exactly the period you worked at. How were you looked at? What was your experience working in the Middle East?
Well, we were looked at as the Indian expatriate. There was a lot of respect to us in terms of our knowledge and our labor capacity and what we could do. But in all fairness, the land belonged to the Arabs. They belonged to the people of Dubai and UAE, and they had their own rights that were sometimes much more than the rights of the expatriate population, because you did know that after a certain period of time over there, you had to go back. You're not going to be a permanent resident, at least during the time when I was there. Now things are changing in the Middle East. So Islamic nations, while they allow for you to live within your religion, and some of the more liberal Islamic nations that don't follow the rigid Islamic doctrines like you would see in most parts of the world, like in Afghanistan for that matter. But there is certainly a religious supremacy in that place. You cannot overlook it. In fact, I would say that concepts like Arabization or Emiratization are actually racist in nature, because you can't distinguish between one person working, if he's an Indian expatriate, vis-a-vis a local. Look at the locals over there. During the period of Emiratization, many of the locals were paid 2 or 3 times much more than the Indian expatriate or the other expatriate that would have come. You would have had the white that would have got probably on par with the Arab national out there. But the Indian expatriate or the Indian subcontinent expatriate was always paid lesser than the others, till they became a complete parity of payments happening out there, where people, where the Indian expatriate started, stamping his authority by performance, and then they started being respected. But religious supremacy is there, certainly in the Islamic nation. There's absolutely no doubt on that. Now, when you play it in India, the difference is India is seen as a nation that is acceptance of all religion. Unfortunately, the terminology of secular has been so misconstrued. Secularism does not mean the acceptance of all religion in matters of governance. It's not the acceptance. And I mean, I remember even Shashi Tharoor in his book, or the book he wrote on the Prime Minister Modi, talked about secularism being about accepting all religion, all religions living in communal harmony. I'm sorry, that's not the meaning of secularism. Secularism is the acceptance of no religion in matters of governance, which means the religion and the governance are 2 separate entities altogether. They cannot combine. So today, when the government of India looks and says we have to look at each other beyond religious supremacy, when Mohan Bhagwat is talking of looking beyond religious supremacy, it is finally coming back to the true meaning of integral humanism that has been RSS's main talking point. Integral humanism is to accept that every part of your body is an integral part of the human body. That is what integral humanism is. So today, a Muslim, a Christian, a Buddhist, a Jain, a person from a different caste, a higher caste or an upper caste or lower caste or tribals, they are all integral part of the body called India, of the body called Bharat. Each of them is a child of Bharat Mata, and therefore there is no need for any one religion to be supreme. It is the individual, it is the nation that is supreme. And that really is what integral humanism is all about.
See, Savio, India did not get here overnight. It took several decades before India got here. Now, fine, we are here, but India is also something, a country now, which is drawing a lot of admiration from countries outside, which it used to not have before. Now, India is respected. India is respected for its soft power as well as its hard power. And do you think, let us say the ramp for getting here was 30 years, the ramp away from this, do you think it will be like half the time? Any guesses on that?
Well, I think we have, as a nation, over the last several years, done extremely well. And I completely agree with you. There are many people looking at India in a very positive manner. They're looking at India in a positive manner because India has the promise, India has the people, India has the talent. Yes, there have been certain sections of media and certain sections of the political class in the geopolitical spectrum that are still looking at India as a land that can be easily broken because of religious conflagrations. However, I think we need to rise up above that. And that's the most important thing, that we have to rise up as India, because India today is surging ahead. And so when a Mohammed bin Salman, when the Al Maktums from the Middle East, when you look at other leaders of the world that are looking at India and are willing to work with India in a very promising manner. I mean, look at Mohammed bin Salman and Prime Minister Modi's tie-ups on renewable energy and what they want to do with Vision 2030, Saudi Arabia, and how much important is India's role in that. You see that religion is not really going to be the dictate of any country as we progress. It will be a dictate used to destabilize certain countries. But India is rising up above that, and which is why we, as Indian citizens, Indian businessmen, have to go beyond the religious spectrum, the religious prisms that we put, and rise up as nationalists and as Indians, because that's the only way we will become a superpower.
I completely agree with you, Savio, and let's wait and see how this thing plays out. But in the interim, one of the things that everyone needs to keep in their mind is this concept that you've defined about integral humanism. That's what defines Bharatvarsh, and in a way that also is encapsulated in Sanatana Dharma. Savio, if you don't have anything else to say, we can go to questions now. We have a few questions.
No,
Viewers, you can send in your questions
but
using
I
hashtag.
must say one thing, Sri. The
Yeah. Let me just
statement
finish
that,
one. Let me hold on. Let me just finish
yeah,
the hashtag name so that somebody can send in their questions, and then I'll give you the floor.
sure.
Viewers, please like this video and use Ask Savio, hashtag Ask Savio to pose your questions. Please go ahead, Savio. Sorry about that.
One of the other very important statements that was made by Mohan Bhagwat in the interview that came out on the organizer was the respect and the stand that he took to the LGBTQ community. You see, the LGBTQ community in India, and as it is in some parts of the parts of the world, are always put in a position of being victims, and they're ostracized by society. Many of them lived in closets before. Now they've coming out. The same relation bit was decriminalized. Being from the LGBT community. So it's something that it takes a lot of courage to take that stand that the RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat took, and I think it's very commendable. I didn't expect it at all. I didn't expect him to take such a stand and to make it open that yes, the community is a part of us, is a part of society, and we need to be inclusive of them. They need to be included as part of society and not ostracized like they are normally ostracized. And therefore, they need better laws. They need better they need better implementations of their own fundamental rights, because their sexual orientation or their sexual choices cannot become the hindrances for them to live a life as a citizen of the country. So I think he made a very powerful statement.
Well, viewers, now let's take some questions. Go ahead, please. Akash S wants to know, did government do a mistake by first banning PFI instead of arresting all the cadres?
Well, it's only a matter of time that will tell whether it's a mistake or not, because I really can't say the reason why the government did what it did, but I'm sure they, in their wisdom, they've done the right thing. Only time will tell whether it's right or wrong.
Raghunandan says, Sir, Abrahamic theology is and always will be against our culture and civilization. Your view on it, sir?
I don't know whether which part of the Abrahamic religions is against the culture. But if you're talking about Islam and if you're talking about Christianity, yes, a lot of Islam and Christianity is built on proselytization, and that's how it spread, as history would tell you. However, if you were to analyze it purely from a non-religious point of view, it is really not driving religion. It's about the demographics that they look at controlling, not necessarily spreading the religion. Spreading the religion is the symptom of the major problem. The major problem of the cancer, as you would say, is the need to occupy places. So when you see when it was Islam or whether it was the Christianity during the Roman period, and when the Roman Catholic Church associated with it, it was a spread across the world. So when you came into a place like Goa also, it was not that there were no Christians in Goa before the Portuguese arrived. There were Christians in Goa before the Portuguese arrived, but with the Portuguese came the Jesuits at that point of time, and the Jesuits, along with the Roman Catholic Church and at the helm, and Portugal itself, decided to come along and go with the Goa Inquisition. And the Goa Inquisition, while targeting the Hindus, were also targeting the Christians that did not owe allegiance to the Roman Catholic Church. Because there were Christians already here. The Neo-Christians, the Augustinians, the Carmelites, they were already here. So you're going to have cultural, there is going to be a so-called disruption within the cultural spectrum. But I think look at a village in Goa today. We villagers in Goa used to have the concept of worshipping the Devi and moving to different homes during the worship of the Devi in our villages. That got substituted where in the Christian villages now you have the worship of Mother Mary, and this statue moves from one house to another with a procession taking the statue. So it's an amalgamation of culture that really happens when conversion happens or religion takes over. The culture normally gets seeped in, but it takes a very long time to destroy it. So yes, we should protect our culture, and which is why Mohan Bhagwat's statement is so important, because really we have to rise above religion and look at what is culturally ours to safeguard it.
Yes, indeed. And as a student of theology, Savio, you've been doing some, you've been pursuing a degree in this. How do you explain the fact that the developed West, I'm talking about United States and United Kingdom and much of the Western Europe, people have stopped going to the church, whether even twice a year, forget about every Sunday. They don't even go for Thanksgiving or Easter or Christmas. Now, why do you think it has come to this? And how do you think? See, my take on religion is you need some spiritual basis, because that's what gives you the inner strength when you are faced with problems in life, adversities in life. That's when you need to dig deep. I believe in this. Yes, I'm not succeeding today, but I know that this is where I want to be. Then you go back and find what is it that you're doing wrong. All that stuff that comes from your spiritual learning. So how do you explain what is happening in the West today?
So let me explain it to you with an example. Okay. So there's this beautiful looking rock that has been submerged in water for a very, very long time. Okay. Now let's assume you pick that rock up and you break the rock. And even though that rock has been in the water for decades, the water hasn't seeped through that rock. It's exactly the problem in some of the churches, whether they are Catholics, whether they are Pentecostal, whether they are Anglicans, whether they are evangelicals. They are lying within the confines of the teachings of Jesus and his beliefs. But the real value of the teachings of Jesus, like the water, has not seeped through. Therefore, people are leaving it. The classic case is one of the issues that many Catholics and many people within the Christian faith are facing and actually standing up to, at least globally, and some cases in India, is the clergy sexual abuse.
Yes.
And that is something that has really destroyed the Catholic faith and the faith in many other denominations of the Christians. Because you cannot, it does not, it isn't right to rape a minor, to rape a nun, and then and consider yourself to be a representative of God. So there are many faults within the institution of the church, where there are many faults within the individuals. But the faith is something that is personal, and I've always held that a lot of what I am today in my beliefs in Sanatan Dharma, the origins that I have realized has come from my belief in the Christian faith. And that has led me into understanding Sanatan Dharma more. I'm not saying everything about the Catholic Church is right or everything about Islam is right, but there must be some good in it for them to bring people together. And yes, proselytization is something I definitely don't agree with. Forced proselytization.
Absolutely, and this is not just one religion or the other. There are, even Hindus also. Many of us have moved away from some of the basic tenets, and that has had a cascading effect. I just wanted to ask you, because you have done a deep study of this. Many of us are superficial in our understanding of religions. Thank you,
See,
Savio. Yeah, go ahead.
Shreep, let me explain this about religion in a nutshell. Okay, religion is about people who want to control other people. The implementation of religion is done because of that. Today, let's say there's another religion that shoots off. Today we are talking about Islam, we're talking about Christianity. I mean, 1,000, 2,000 years ago, there would have been another religious leaders at that point of time. The Greeks, the Romans believed in different kinds of gods at that point of time, right? So they had their own versions of God. Every century century will tell you that people have different forms of gods or different manifestations of God. But the only manifestation of God that really matters is humanity, is nature. Those are the real manifestation of God and God's creation. So today, if we overlook that, we consider it to not matter and consider the dogmas of our religion to be the real way forward, then I think we are wrong, because that's not what religion was meant to be. And religion is purely a map that leads you to the door of spirituality. It is not the spirituality. Somebody's got to open the door, right? So open your door, whichever religion you are in, open the door to spirituality, and you will realize that God resides around you and within you.
Thank you very much, Savio. And viewers, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And also, don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Savio, thank you so much for coming at such short notice to be with us. And viewers, again, please do share with your comments on this. And Savio and I, we've looked at some things probably in a slightly different manner. I'd appreciate all your comments, and also please forward this to like-minded folk, even those who argue with you over religion. Everybody needs to look at this thing in a different way. Thank you once again. Namaskar.
Thank you.